I have to start by saying this. I suck at meditating. I am not the person who can sit cross legged, eyes closed, breathing in for a certain number of counts, and all of a sudden feeling zen and one with the universe. This brain is way too loud for that. But here's the thing, I have learned over the years that you don't have to be good at meditating for it to actually help you. What you do need are some simple, no fail, easy tools that you can use to calm the hell down when your brain is in freak out mode. I started using mindfulness when I was in the thick of my grief and having lots of panic attacks. And it surprised me how much some of these tiny, easy things could actually help. They didn't magically fix anything, but they did help me get through one difficult moment at a time, which when you're grieving and completely overwhelmed, sometimes that's really all you need. So if you're new to mindfulness and not great at the whole quiet your mind thing like me, here are some ridiculously simple ways to start. Stay tuned. I am admittedly very bad at deep breathing and really, really bad at the whole clear your mind thing. My brain just does not clear. And if someone tells me to just breathe, I immediately start breathing wrong, if that's a thing. Am I breathing too fast? Am I breathing too slow? Somehow I'm afraid that I'm doing it wrong and that makes it worse. But one breathing technique that I have spoken about before that works really well for me is box breathing. So, box breathing is super simple. It is just structured breathing to the count of 4, and you actually picture a box as you are breathing. And I think it's the picturing of the box that really helps me because it gives my mind something to focus on along with the counting. So, when I'm having a panic attack, it gives me some place to place my focus and my energy to kind of take it away from whatever it is that's causing the panic attack. So essentially for box breathing, you breathe in for a count of 4, and then you hold for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4, and hold for a count of 4. And while you're doing that, you actually picture kind of drawing a box as you do it. So breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. You can repeat that as many times as you need until you calm down. And the structured rhythm of it really helps settle your nervous system. Also, I've heard that Navy SEALs use this method as a way to keep calm in extremely stressful situations, which makes me feel pretty badass when I use something that's the same as a Navy SEAL. Okay, the next mindfulness method that you can try is something that I learned when I checked myself into a day program at a mental institution because I was having lots of horrible thoughts and was in a really bad place after my daughter Libby died. And that is called, this is something they use there. It's called the 5-4-3-2-1 grounding technique. It is stupidly simple, but incredibly effective. And that makes it fantastic because a lot of times you can kind of do this on autopilot. So the first thing you look for is 5 things that you can see in front of you or around you. This can be as simple as your hands, a coffee mug, your phone, a pen, smudge on the wall, whatever. Just find 5 things that you can see. After that, you want to find 4 things that you can touch, physically touch. This could be the chair you're sitting on, a sweater that you're wearing, the cold floor under your feet. So anything that you can physically feel and touch. Next, you find 3 things that you can hear. So just close your eyes, listen very carefully. And what are 3 things that you can hear? So right now, if I do that, I could probably hear my air conditioner running in the background. I can hear the humming of my refrigerator. You probably can't hear it. I can actually hear my cat using the litter box and going through the litter right now. Not the sexiest sound, but it's something I can actually hear at this moment. It could be birds chirping outside, whatever you hear around you. Then you find 2 things that you can smell. So do you have coffee brewing? Can you smell that? Can you smell shampoo? Do you have a candle burning that you can smell? Can I smell Dudley's litter box? Thankfully, no, I can't. So that's good. And then last, one thing that you can taste. So for this one, you can actually physically taste something. I could taste my coffee, I could sip some tea, I could chew some gum, or you can just notice the kind of aftertaste of whatever the last thing was that you have in your mouth. or you can be tasting your, nasty morning breath. Whatever works. The point is that you're just noticing it. This technique works because it forces your brain to concentrate on the now, and it kind of gets it off of that panic loop that you were in. Okay. The next one is so stupid simple. It's kind of ridiculous, but it actually works. So if you're like me, a lot of times sitting still is not the best choice when your brain is going haywire. So a very simple mindfulness trick is to go for a short walk. In my opinion, it's best if you can do it outside, but if you can't do it outside, it's also fine to just do it around your house or office or wherever it is that you are at that moment. And you might be like, how is taking a walk mindfulness? Well, it is if you're actually focusing on what you are seeing and hearing and feeling around you while you are walking. The whole point is to really pay attention to the movement. So feel your feet hitting the ground. Notice what that feels like. Whether you're in bare feet, really works well if you're in bare feet, especially if you're outside, or if you're in shoes, just however your feet feel. Notice the temperature of the air. Notice the sounds around you. Sometimes, if it is raining or storming outside or too cold or whatever, and I have to stay inside, I will do this with stretching. So I will just like stretch to a certain count and just really focus on how my muscles feel at that moment, where I feel the pull. The whole point is to just get your brain from whatever it was thinking about to focus on something kind of concrete around you. One that's a little more low pressure, because let's be honest, most of the mindfulness stuff that you hear about is on breathing and counting and shifting your focus. But what if your brain is going a million miles a minute? I mean, focusing on your breath sounds easy until you're like, did I pay that bill? What am I doing with my life? Did Max ever text me back? Probably shouldn't have eaten those beans for dinner. What is that humming noise? Wow, I suck at meditating. That is what my brain is like when I'm trying to meditate. How about instead of fighting those thoughts, you pay attention to them? You really notice them. So this one sounds a little bit silly, but try it. When you start to have those random thoughts that inevitably pop up, actually picture them as like little clouds or thought bubbles with like the words in there, the phrases in there. So the thought, you kind of turn it into a thought bubble, and then you can imagine yourself popping it and seeing if it goes away. And then if another one pops up, you picture it like a little cloud or a little bubble and you pop it and see if it goes away. Honestly, it sounds so ridiculous, but because you're focusing on, as silly as it is, turning these things into little bubbles that you can pop, it can actually be stupidly effective. I mean, some days my mind is just a tornado of nonsense, but that simple act of being aware of it and kind of embracing it rather than getting lost in it can actually be really helpful. Okay, and the last idea is what I call single tasking. When you're grieving, multitasking is highly overrated. Trying to do 5 things at once while you're scrolling on Instagram and half listening to a podcast, that is just stress disguised as productivity. So one big tenet of mindfulness is just focusing on one thing at a time. So for this one, there is no counting, there is no picturing things. It is super easy. It is just about focusing on that one thing that you are doing at that moment. So when you drink your coffee, actually drink it. Feel the warmth of it. Taste it on your tongue and notice the different flavors. Pause for a second and just focus on just that rather than guzzling it down while you're answering a bunch of emails or making a video. Same thing when you eat. Actually eat and focus on that moment of eating. No TV, no phone. Pay attention to the act of eating and the way things taste and focus on that. When you're doing a task, just do that task. Don't have a million tabs open in your brain. Just try to focus solely on that one task that you are accomplishing. This one is kind of sneaky because it doesn't feel like mindfulness, but it actually is. So I know these are really simple, but my whole point is you don't have to be good at this. If you've ever thought like, I can't do mindfulness because my brain is just too chaotic, Same. But that's exactly why this helps. You don't have to sit in silence for hours. You don't have to be some peaceful, enlightened being because if we're in deep grief, we're not. You just need to find these little small moments where you can pause and get out of your own damn head for a minute. And really, that's it. That's mindfulness. And if I can do it, you can do it too. I'd love to hear if you have any mindfulness tricks or any breathing things or practices that you do that would help other people. If you do, please leave it in the comments for us because I am always up for learning more methods to practice mindfulness and get out of my own head and to redirect my thoughts when they are going super negative. Hopefully, the ones that I gave you will be helpful for you. Give them a try. If you try them and they work, also let me know. I would love to hear if they work for you. If you'd like more helpful tips for dealing with grief, I do have a book that's called Grief Sucks, But Your Life Doesn't Have to. It's available on Amazon, and the link is in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. It really helps other people find my channel. As always, I am sending you guys love and hugs, and I will see you next week. Bye.